Crash, crash, crash. I got quite the history with this orange marsupial, who apparently was almost named Willy the Wombat. I'm glad they didn't go with that. I've been playing Crash Bandicoot my whole life. It was another one of the first video games I've ever played. When I was a kid, my dad had one of those PSP Go handhelds lying around the house, which, off topic, I hate the name for this thing. It feels awkward to say out loud. I haven't had access to one since that unit from years ago. Would love to acquire one for the collection, but that can wait. On that system, my dad had a bunch of games installed, and one of which was the original Crash Bandicoot. And this is not where my love for the character started. It was actually a prior game that I will get into in the next video. But with the original Crash being my second game I ever played in the franchise, it left a strong impression on me. I remember playing this game for hours until the PSP died, only to play it even further on the charge. Something about this game was so mesmerizing as a 3 or 4-year-old, I can't remember. The only games I'd played at the time were the terrible GBA port of Sonic 1 on my DS Lite, Pac-Man and Galaxian on a Namco compilation I remember also having on GBA, and oddly enough, fucking Tonic Trouble on the N64. Yeah, weird starting line. So in a way, this was one of the first 3D platformers I had ever played, which probably is what added to the whimsy of the game. Before I dive into the actual first Crash game I played, I wanted to kind of go over my history or thoughts and feelings about the original trilogy because I do have a lot of fond memories with them. Plus, I thought it'd be a fun video to work on, especially going for 100%. So without further ado, Crash Bandicoot 1. After playing this one again, this game is so timeless. I always thought this since I first played it, but even now I think this game looks beautiful for a PS1 game. All the colorful flora always stuck out to me when playing, which makes the mechanical transition as you approach the end of the game even cooler. Crash's model is very expressive, sometimes to an uncanny degree, but most of the time it's very charming, even if he looks like a crackhead on the title screen. Naughty Dog's co-founder Andy Gavin did state that their intention was for Crash to feel more like a cartoon character rather than a video game character, and I think they nailed it with the myriad of cartoony animations they put in the game. Like the one that plays when you die from an enemy. Crash's idle animation, and the plethora of death animations that look straight out of Looney Tunes short. The story of this game is very simple. Dr. Neo Cortex, which I swear to God his name was Dr. Neo Cortex with a T, which I guess I was wrong all these years, and his assistant Embryo are experimenting on the local animals of what I'm assuming is Insanity Island, or at least that's what the name of the first level is, and later games would adopt this, so I'm gonna call it that. After experimenting on a bunch of helpless animals, mutating them into monstrosities to be a part of his army for world domination, he decides he needs a leader, that being Crash Bandicoot, but during the final process to fully mutate Crash, the machine malfunctions and Crash makes his graceful escape.
Capture him!
This would be great for Crash, but unfortunately his girlfriend Tana is up next for experimentation, and of course he won't have that, so the whole game sees Crash rushing from island to island to eventually make his way back to Cortex. I wrote it in the script as Cortex. Fuck Cortex, and defeat him to save his girlfriend. The plot is very simple. In fact, expect that for the rest of the games going forward. The focus of these titles are the actual levels you run through, and in the original Crash's case, it does a great job in its first level, getting you used to the hallway design in the first game. Crash Bandicoot's level design is best described as a 2D platformer simply shifted to 3D. You won't find much in the way of sprawling areas to explore or a great number of multiple paths, just typically one challenging path you must make your way through, or when the game wants to be a piece of shit, a fork in the road leaving you with two choices of how you want to proceed. But what's wrong with giving the player a choice? I'll tell ya, the box. What sets Crash Bandicoot apart from other platformers is two things. Crash's iconic method of attack being his spin, and the main victim of it, the box. Breaking boxes and or crates open, whichever you prefer, will usually reward you with Wumpa Fruit, in which collecting 100 of them nets you an extra life. But that's not what makes these things important. There's multiple types of boxes, your vanilla crate that a typical jump or spin will break, question mark boxes which can have a bunch of Wumpa Fruit inside or extra lives, then there's the hazardous TNT crate, which explodes immediately if you spin into them, but jumping on them instead has them count down from 3 and detonating at 0, which also takes out any surrounding crates. There's also boxes that bounce you upwards, steel crates that you can't break, but having exclamation marks on them that when hit spawns crates elsewhere. Yeah, there's a lot of different boxes in this game. And I haven't even gotten to the one that's your literal guardian angel, the Aku Aku crate, which upon breaking will release Aku Aku, the floating mass spirit that protects Crash from damage. You can stack 2 Aku Aku masks, giving you 2 hits of protection, and if you collect the 3rd mask, you'll become invincible for a few seconds. What makes all this important is that in every level, there are a finite number of boxes to break, and breaking all of them will reward you with the gem for that level, which is needed if you're going for 100%. You see, these levels on a casual run, when you're just running through trying to reach the end, may still offer a challenge, especially later in the game, but the true challenge is trying to destroy every box and reaching the end to collect the gems for 100%. These boxes are placed in intricate, tricky patterns that sometimes make you stop and consider your approach of how to efficiently break every box. This gives Crash a unique approach to level design that's really enjoyable to play through, since every level is efficiently a giant puzzle platformer when you factor in going for 100%. Combine this with some tight platforming segments to keep you on your toes, and you have the recipe for a really fun game. But it is the first game in the series after all, so they didn't pull this off without some snags. For instance, the aforementioned fork in the road. These seemingly harmless additions to the levels marks a problem that this series still struggles with, even in Crash Bandicoot 4. And what the hell, not that one, that one! The level designers often like to put boxes on both paths, meaning if you're going for gems, after you break all the boxes on one path, you have to backtrack to break the boxes down the other path. And this game's camera, and by extension the other games I'll be talking about in this video, only faces forward. So for 100%, in times like these, you often have to fight against the camera down the path you haven't traveled to reach any box you might have missed. And this shit is aggravating, especially when you run into an enemy you couldn't see, or God forbid it ends up killing you, which it just leads into my next gripe. In the original Crash Bandicoot, after death, all the boxes you previously broke in a level are now unbroken, meaning that 100% run of the level is now dead. You'll have to exit back to the world map and re-enter the level to start over, as even after hitting a checkpoint crate, the boxes you already broke do not save. The load times coming in and out of the levels is by no means terrible, but it still feels bad due to the frequency you'll probably be doing this for such a difficult game. Asking you to break every box in one life is already crazy enough, but they asked you to do this with levels that can be several minutes long, like Sunset Vista or the Lost City. Gorgeous looking levels, but marathons when it comes to breaking every box, where dying at the tail end means starting the entire ordeal over again, which is very infuriating, especially when you've been at it for a while and just want to grab the gem and move on. The worst case of this being in Cortex Power, see I said it right. A level with multiple winding paths, some with boxes on them and some without, forced backtracking against a terrible camera while still having to avoid perilous obstacles. It's a mess. I literally had to stop and mentally chart out a path to get every box, because trying to just backtrack through this platforming segment was just leading to my death every time. It was only after circling around back the other way I came just to nab this one Aku Aku box that I was able to actually get the gem for this level. A true mess. Some levels like Cortex Power, you can't even fully complete without grabbing a colored gem in another level first. Colored gems unlock gem paths in previous levels that allow access to new areas that usually have more boxes in them. On your initial playthrough, it may drive you mad knowing you scoured through literally every pixel of the level and are still being told you're missing a good chunk of boxes. Fear not, you just need to grab the colored gem in a later level, so if you see a little small gem in your initial run through, that'll let you know that you're gonna have to come back later. Though annoyingly, you won't know what level has what gems in it from the level select screen. You just have to know, or go into every level trying to complete it to see if it has one. Though usually colored gem levels are a lot tougher to smash every box in than the others, so that could be a good indicator. Even though my footage, you can see I'm usually breezing through these levels at a decent pace, I keep hammering home the fact that this game is difficult because, well, it is. The level of play I'm showing is coming from years of experiencing and playing not only this game, but its 2017 Insane Trilogy remake. On my, and many others' first playthroughs, this game will test you. It will kick your ass. Just look online at the many Insane Trilogy gameplay videos and you'll see exactly what I mean. The progression from spending literal weeks on slippery climb just to beat it as a kid, to now getting its color gem on my first playthrough for this video after not touching the original for years, did not come fast. But still, I have no idea how I managed to fucking do that. But speaking of the Insane Trilogy, I won't be mentioning it too much in this video, only when needed to point something out, because I want to judge the originals in a vacuum. But if you want to play these games nowadays, the remakes are totally the way to go, if you ask me at least. But the originals are still worth playing as well. I guess to wrap up, we should talk about the bosses. I forget this game has any. They're all so easy. Papa goes down with no issue. Riveroo is the only one that actually makes me think, because you have to line up and time the TNT explosion with a jumping pattern, so that one's alright. But Koala Kong? Stand there and spin his rocks until eventually you get a rock you can spin at him. Pinstripe? Wait and eventually you can hit him. Embryo? Jump on the blobs and eventually jump on him. Boom, dead. And Cortex, again, is wait until you can hit him. I know at the end of the day that's most platformer bosses, waiting for an opening to hit your foe, but I don't know, something about Crash 1's bosses in particular just don't do anything for me. I love them as characters and their designs, but the fights themselves, meh. But overall, Crash 1 is a solid time when gunning towards the end, and getting 100% while having the capability to get tedious at times was fun for me. But the sequel, man. About just 1 year after the first game released, Naughty Dog dropped this bang.
Crash Bandicoot 2. Cortex Strikes Back. Press start to begin.
So this game is amazing. Almost every issue I had with the first game gets either changed or ironed out significantly here. For starters, the controls. Oh my god, it's like night and day. The way Crash handles in the first game works for that titles level design, but it's indeed stiff. Here though? Smooth as butter, with not just his normal ground movement, but also his in-air movement, with the addition of the series staple, the slide. Oh my lord, I love this thing so much. Crash can slide into enemies as well as get a quick burst of speed instantly that can be maintained with a well-timed spin at the end of the animation, but the main use that makes this the messiah of linear platformer movement is the slide jump. It's one of those maneuvers that I just love doing even when I clearly don't need to. It makes every level go at an even faster pace, and because you can spin out of it, you always have a way to defend yourself. That animation of Crash doing that split jump is so satisfying when you barely make a jump. In fact, the presentation and animation across the board has seen a massive increase. Hell, they flex that fact in the title sequence. Compared the two, it's night and day. The game's story takes place a year after the first games, though immediately after you defeat Cortex on his blimp, he falls into a cave and discovers the new series MacGuffin, the Power Crystal. With it, he plans to power his new invention, the Cortex Vortex, but he can't gather the necessary crystals he needs alone, so he fools Crash into helping him gather them, but not after kidnapping him first. Honestly, this game makes it so incredibly obvious Cortex is playing you. If you couldn't tell by Coco's warning or Cortex's obviously evil fucking face, he has ulterior motives, that being taking the crystals to power the Cortex Vortex to mind control the whole planet. Oh yeah, Coco gets introduced in this game. She's Crash's younger sister, who's a tech and later a mechanical wizard. Hell yeah, we love girls in STEM. Sucks she never got that battery she asked Crash to get for her laptop. Coco's role in this game outside of warning you about Cortex is very minimal though. She's not playable, it's a Crash only adventure once again, though in the remakes you can play as her in every game, which is a nice touch. The levels on offer here are some of the best and worst yet. Hey, I said this game fixes almost every issue I had with the first game, but that doesn't mean it doesn't also introduce a few new ones. But let's start from the top. In the last game, you gain access to levels through a linear world map. It was cool, showcased Crash's journey to Cortex, and overall got the job done. In Crash 2, we have the Warp Room, which lets you access levels in sets of 5 in any order across 5 warp rooms, which you can move between in the platform in the center. Obviously, not all the rooms are available from the start. You gotta collect the power crystal in each level and then defeat the boss between the warp rooms. The levels on offer are all visual upgrades from the first game and are fun to run through casually, but as always, the true depth of Crash level design does not shine until you go for 100%. And with that being said, generally speaking, getting everything in Crash 2 for me is super fun. Until it's not, but we'll get there. The crystals you'll inevitably run into while playing the levels, but the gems from the first game also return. Embryo advises you to collect them as well as the crystals so he can put us out to Cortex's plans, the process for the clear gems being the same as always. Run through the level and smash all the boxes and the clear box gem will be yours. The color gems also return, but instead of also being collected by smashing all the boxes on a usually tough level in one life, now they act more like a puzzle to be solved in that level that has them, which you can look at the little engraves on the warp room door to see if the level has one or not, which is an improvement from the first game. In ones that do, the gem is usually hidden under some condition, like in Turtle Woods you're supposed to beat it without smashing a single box, which is fully possible if you pay attention to the level design, and you'll be rewarded with the blue gem. This will then unlock the blue gem path in a later level, granting you access to boxes you would have previously missed to get the box gem. But this is why I love this game so much. While it's been a while since I fully completed Crash 2, you can route this game to get every collectible with the least amount of backtracking, by way of you being able to pick the levels you have access to in any order. I always do Turtle Woods first to grab the blue gem and then circle back to the clear gem path. You don't even have to do this technically, you could just grab the blue gem, jump into a pit and then start over, and then go for the box gem to save time. And little moments like this are everywhere in this game. In one of the new sewer levels, you can grab the yellow gem by walking through this wall, which grants access to even more paths in other levels. Knowing this, you can grab that gem as early as possible, spin back to the yellow gem path you unlocked and complete that stage, which may or may not have secrets of its own, because some stages have secret exits that take you to the hidden 6th warp room that will have gates to previous levels, but when you step through it, it takes you to an entirely different part of the level to grab either an extra clear gem or nab even more hidden boxes. I swear, half the fun of this game is routing the optimal path for completion. It's why I love watching speedruns on this game. Seeing the creative ways players cut corners and implementing them into my own playthroughs is so satisfying. But they didn't forego the not dying completely. We got death routes now, where you have to reach this platform placed further in the level without dying, and the reward is usually a clear gem and more boxes to break. Seeing Crash cash out his gems and crystals after beating a level and then hitting his iconic Crash dance just give me good feeling and brain me like. Not to say that this game can't be fucking infuriating at times though. We still got the tried and true backtracking against the camera, which I still don't know why they thought it was a good idea in the slightest. You can't see, so inevitably you will take damage if you don't have the enemy placements memorized or die in a pit you could not see coming. Also, some of these levels as box gems are fucking aggravating to complete. Everyone knows about Cold Hard Crash, where you have to slide down this icy path to hit this detonator for the new box type added in this game, the Nitro Crate. If you see it, avoid it at all costs. It explodes on contact and overall will ruin your day. Cold Hard Crash makes you narrowly avoid these things on a straight path just so you can hit the Nitro Detonator, but if you jump down this hole, you'll be sent to the final part of the level, skipping the boxes past the death route you took to get here. So the challenge is having to hit the detonator, then backtrack to the death route platform while hitting all the boxes, avoiding being crushed by these contraptions, which they had to change the death animation for in the Japanese version because around this time there was a serial killer on the loose who would leave their victims' heads between their shoes. Eerie stuff. But high key, there's a bunch of Aku Aku masks on your way here that can get you invincibility before you even touch this route. So you can just invincibility your way through everything. So honestly, I'd say pissing it away is more annoying to complete than Cold Hard Crash. It's in the final warp room before the final boss, and there's just so many things at play here. These dickhead scientists that shove you into pits with their jank ass hitbox, this dickhead single box that they put at the very end of the level that they then make you backtrack through, only to then have to hit this dickhead jump against these 5 panels that I, to this day, still have no idea how to cleanly clear this jump without taking damage, or if I do, it always feels like a fluke. It's fucking crazy. All this because there's a death route that you can't backtrack through once you get all the boxes. You have to complete the normal path first, then go back to the death route platform to complete the rest of the stage. Like, what the fuck? But the one that takes the cake for me, the worst level to complete in this game, hands down for me, is level 23, Night Fight. Fuck this level. There were stages prior to this that goes back to the whole darkness gimmick from Crash 1, but this time with fireflies instead of Aku Aku. They were fine, simple box gem, no backtracking required, because why would they make me do that? I can't see shit. That would be awful. Night Fight makes you run through the right path for boxes and then backtrack in the goddamn dark for the fucking death route path, because instead of just being normal about shit and putting the clear gem on only that path, they decided to put these 2 boxes on the same path. So now you have to backtrack. The footage speaks for itself. Yup. Backtracking in the level where you can't see. I can't fucking see. I'm gonna fall. Are those nitros? Bro. God fucking damn it. Oh my gosh. This fucking evil ass level design. What the fuck? Yo. Alright. Alright. Hey, yeah, I got hit by the guy. I can't see him. I can't see him. I can't see him. Oh, there he is. Slide him. Yo. This level is the absolute worst. The music is catchy though. In fact, the soundtrack overall is a lot better than the first game. So many iconic pieces here, like the theme that plays in the woods levels. The ones that play in the new Polar levels are cool. These function similar to the board levels from Crash 1, but now you can dash, and Polar overall controls a lot better than the board did, which is pretty cool. Any of the jet board stages have great music, and I love how the music changes when you enter the gym path. It ramps up in intensity because the level designs want to do the same. It's great. The bosses are also generally a good step up from Crash 1. A lot of the bosses in that game didn't really feel like actual fights, but here it really does feel challenging and like I'm actually battling these new foes, which is pretty cool. The final boss though is very underwhelming, just holding the X button to catch up to Cortex and spinning him a few times and he goes down easy. This gives you the normal ending of the game where you put a stop to Cortex and his machine is still in space. If you collect all the gems, then you team up with Embryo to fire a laser to destroy the Cortex Vortex, which officially concludes Crash 2. A better alternative ending than the first game, where collecting everything got you an ending where Crash and Tawna fly away on one of the birds from Slippery Climb. Kinda anticlimactic, so I didn't feel it was worth mentioning until now. Crash Bandicoot 2 is another one of my favorite video games of all time. For every level I may not like, there's a lot of others I do, and also I don't have to 100% the game every time I revisit it. Again, the game is perfectly fun to beat casually. I love the visuals, the extra animation, hell I even think the voice acting for something done in 1997 on the PS1 is pretty good. Clancy Brown absolutely kills it as Cortex. He gets that menacing aura just right, while also making him humorous when he has to be. The other voice actors aren't bad either. Vicky Winters did well as Coco, and I like Brendan O'Brien as Embryo. They did good. But apparently Brendan sadly passed away in 2023, so I hope he's resting easy and his family's doing alright. But we have one more game to look at before we end the video. That being... I'm not gonna lie. This game was the one I was scared to revisit the most. Not casually, I've replayed Crash 3 lots of times, but to this day, I've never completed Crash 3, even though out of the entire trilogy I've probably sunk the most time into this game. It's the one I bought on PSN back on the PS3. I have lots of fond memories split between that and the Insane Trilogy remake, but Crash 3... well, let's get into it. So after you shoot the Cortex Vortex out of space, it crash lands on this ancient temple, releasing another magical mask in the process. This mask turns out to be Uka Uka, Aku Aku's evil twin brother, who apparently was giving Cortex instructions to do his bidding this whole time. But since he keeps failing Uka Uka, he's obviously fed up with them. Crash has collected all the crystals and gems around, so there's no power source for them to take advantage of to take over the world. Or at least not in this time period. Yes folks, Crash 3 is a time travel plot, but in a very fun way. With the help of a new villain and trophy, they use his invention, the Time Twister, to run all across time to collect the crystals in different time periods so they can take over this world. The moment Uka Uka was released, Aku Aku immediately picked up on his spirit pressure, I guess, which springs the group into action. So Crash and Coco also make use of the Time Twister in a race against time to collect the crystals before Cortex and Uka Uka. The plot is simply the setup for Crash 3 having some of the best level locations in the series. You go everywhere, from the Renaissance and medieval times, to plundering tombs in ancient Egypt, to smashing boxes in futuristic cities straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's amazing, and honestly holds up well visually. But after playing it, what about the level design? The thing my memories of had me shaking in my boots from the thought of completing it. Well, it's good. Really good, actually. Maybe even my favorite out of the series to complete? I'm not even sure. The regular Crash levels where you're jumping and sliding around breaking boxes are some of the most interesting box patterns in the series yet. They even introduced another new box that I'm not sure about the name of, but it flashes between different types of boxes on a timer, and if you don't break one of the options in time, it's into a steel crate and you can't break it, meaning you'll have to take a death to reset it. These things used to stress me out as a kid, but now I've never not destroyed these crates before it fully turns. But I did say regular Crash levels, and that's because this game introduces vehicles and gimmick levels to the series that most people, from what I can tell, including myself at one point, was very mixed on. The first one you'll probably encounter is this underwater level with swimming controls that aren't bad at all, just take some getting used to. It's a typical Crash formula just presented in a new environment, gotta break all the boxes while dealing with the physics of underwater swimming and aquatic hazards. They also throw in this little missile launcher thing that increases your mobility as well. I didn't mind this. I remember not being too big on it when I was younger, but now I find some enjoyment out of the deep sea diving with Crash and avoiding all the enemies, and it's not like the box gem is all that hard to get either. Another level, Orient Express, located in the same section of the Time Twister, sees Coco sprinting along the Great Wall of China on this tiger named Pura, and it's honestly a blast to play. Pura to me controls just a bit better than Polar, and when I found out you can dash through these barrels without having to jump over them, that made these levels even easier. But next up for vehicle levels is Crash's Hog Ride. This was where my anxiety started to peak, because I remember countless hours trying to get the box gem and the crystal for this and following by gloves in the game. The goal here is to naturally get first place, to collect the crystal, and break every box for the gem. Simple stuff. The bike controls is what complicates the matter, because Crash doesn't have the sharpest turning on this thing. At least, not until you fully commit to the turn, in which he'll cut these corners sharp as fuck. But that doesn't happen instantly. It takes a second of turning before Crash will actually turn sharper, as opposed to having a dedicated drift button to hold. This can make being precise to break boxes an exercise in frustration, because you have to account for the controls, your speed, and positioning to properly smash every crate. That is, if you're trying to get the gem and crystal in one go. There is absolutely nothing stopping you from creeping slowly through the level to get the box gem, completing it, and then replaying it and landing first place for the actual crystal. As a kid, I always gunned for both, making things unnecessarily difficult for myself, when now I would just creep up the road tapping the D-pad to make sure I'm positioned well enough to break the boxes, and that frustration just never came up. Even further into the game on the harder tracks where you're not even racing actual cars anymore but fucking UFOs. I just stuck to the plan and replayed the level for the crystal, and suddenly half my bad memories trying to complete this game dissipated. I was having fun, and the more Crash 3 I played, the more this happened. Used to not be a big fan of Coco's jet ski levels. Now, they're honestly some of my favorites because the way the boxes and obstacles guide you along the more open but still linear path made it to where I could hit the gas and speed through these waters, doing flips off the ramps and still grab the box gem no problem. And the ski control's way better than the bike to me, which makes it that much more enjoyable. I couldn't believe it. The things that made me apprehensive to revisit Crash 3 were turning out to either not be that bad or were bringing me newfound enjoyment I didn't have before. And then finally, there are the plane levels. Something I so vividly remember frustrating me so much as a child because the other pilots would constantly shoot me down and I felt like I had no defense against it. Only I do, the fucking goated barrel roll. It must have been one of those things where I used it once or twice, saw I was still getting shot, and wrote the whole mechanic off. But here though, nah, shit saved my ass on numerous occasions. And my aim in video games have also improved over the years, so now I can reliably shoot the enemies down even without a reticle. Though there definitely should have been a reticle of some sort. Star Fox and several arcade shooters had been a thing around this time, so there's no reason I could think of for why there couldn't have been one. That's pretty much it for the gimmicks and or vehicle levels. Basically the whole reason why the thought of completing this game terrified me for so long. Every attempt I would make to do so would just end in me getting frustrated and opting for regular completion. I mean, there is one more thing, but not yet. The gimmick levels don't actually take up a significant portion of the overall level list either. There's like 2 at most in each of the 5 main areas, and when you're not getting annoyed trying to complete them, they kinda slot in like all the rest of the platforming levels. Which means when I am doing normal Crash things, it feels all the greater. The bonus rooms are the best they've ever been designed. The death routes are fun, challenging romps through alternate routes, but none of them ever got cold hard Crash difficult. And this game, surprise, actually has the least amount of backtracking bullshit in it. No, I'm serious. There wasn't too many times they asked me to backtrack for boxes, like 2, maybe 3 times at most, and even then it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Still shouldn't be happening at all, but shit, that's a positive in my book. And another thing that makes the bonus and death routes, or hell, just the level design in general more fun than Crash 2, is the introduction of power-ups. See, after collecting the 5 crystals in a section of the hub, you'll then unlock its boss, which across the board, all of them are way better fights than Crash 2. Tiny, Dingodile, Entropy, ooh, I love this boss so much. The jumping over his projectiles, his dialogue in the fight, the music, the way the scenery changes with each phase, it's all so good. Then Engine is just this cool dogfight in space where you shoot Engine's weak spots on this huge mech while dodging the artillery patterns all around you. It's great stuff. And I absolutely love the final boss. It's a 2v2 of Crash and Aku Aku versus Cortex and Uka Uka, and the masked twins are fighting each other all while Crash and Cortex go at it. I love how the two are evenly matched, and the fight comes down to you having to dodge their bullshit while getting hits in on the Doctor. It's so fun. But after defeating each of these guys, you unlock a new ability that further expands Crash's moveset. Some of them are negligible things though, like the super body slam that just expands Crash's hitbox when body slamming, and the fruit bazooka has its uses, but you have to stand completely still to use it. But I'll admit, it does look cool as fuck. But the double jump, staple. The death tornado spin, can't live without it. These abilities further add to the kinetic energy of the platforming and keeps the game moving, and you can still combine these with tricks from Crash 2, like spinning out of your slide to conserve momentum, using a well-timed spin after a jump to get some extra height, which translates seamlessly into the death tornado spin, which on top of expanding how long your hitbox is active for on the ground, it also slows your descent in the air, making jumps previously not possible. And they incorporate the use of these moves into the level design, leading to the most interesting levels, bonus rooms, death routes we've had yet. Which leads into the main reason why I was so scared to come back and finally try to complete this beast. What has eluded me for so long.
Crash, Coco, if you have already retrieved a levels crystal, then you will find a floating clock when you enter for the second time. This floating clock activates time trial mode. Grab it and the clock will start ticking. Race for the end to get the best time. But beware, some elements will change.
Time trials. Not just them being here, but being mandatory for completion. This was what killed me for so long. For a while I was not very good at Crash time trials, just couldn't do them to the level the game asked of me to take the completion percentage. See, in every level there's another collectible called the Relic. You get one for getting your completion time down below a certain metric, and then you're awarded with one of different colors, depending on how good you did. The easiest one to obtain is a Sapphire Relic, but that doesn't affect completion. It needs to be at least gold, because for every 5 gold relics you obtain, you unlock a level in the hidden 6 Time Twister room. Touching the clock at the start of the level begins the timer. From here, you will be making ample use of all of Crash's abilities to cut corners, blister enemies, whatever it takes to achieve the desired relic. And of course, you will make ample use of the power-up you unlock at the end of the game, the Crash Dash. This makes Crash run faster while still being able to act into any of his moveset, and it's required for getting these relics. But that's not all, the non-platforming levels have relics too, that also need to be at least gold to get 100% completion. All of this I remember struggling a lot on as a kid. But did things go any different this time around? Was the final hurdle for completion also not that bad this go? Yes! I don't know what's changed since I last done it. Maybe it's me working out my competitive muscles in more fighting games so I'm used to pushing myself, or me getting into beginner Sonic speedrunning with Sonic X Shadow Generations or Sonic Unleashed Recompiled, but when it came to getting the gold relics, I was having fun? And I didn't start from the first level onwards, I actually went backwards starting from the Final Warp room, so the challenge was high from the jump. I figured I may as well throw myself into the deep end of the pool since no matter how I felt about it, I was going to get 100% for the video regardless. And honestly, I loved plotting the course through the levels, trying to figure out how to maneuver around the hazard cycles while maintaining a good pace, while also making sure to smash the time trial exclusive time boxes, which frees the clock for the number of seconds marked on the box. I don't know, I was just having a good time doing these, especially the tomb levels. Speedrunning this level with the rising water was so fun because I found that I could do double jumps into a death tornado spin at the right time to bypass whole chunks of the level without stopping to adhere to the water. Combine that with collecting Aquaman's invincibility that straight up turns the water off, allowing you to run straight through, and you get a level that's super fun to speedrun. And the vehicle levels also weren't hard to run for because of how simple they were. In fact, I'd say the hardest non-crash level to do were the underwater levels. The controls work well for normal runs, but took a lot more adjusting to get used to going fast while swimming, and the missile launcher did increase my speed, but then came the issue of not knowing the level design like that, so I would often boost into a hazard, often way too early in the run and have to restart. But the Coco jet ski levels? Fun to run. The fighter pilot levels? Super easy as long as you're gunning straight for their targets and barrel rolling a lot. And all the Puro Wall of China levels were also a lot of fun to blitz through. Eventually, I did get all the relics I needed to gain access to the levels in the hidden 6 warp room. Though some of them operate as alternate level entrances to get boxes off the beaten path in prior levels, or to get the yellow gem period in one of the stages in this case. But the last Coco jet ski level, a fun romp both for the box gem and the relic. But Rings of Power also had me a little scared because I remember it being annoying, but I did what I had done for the other racing levels, that being get the box gem and the crystal on separate runs, and then focus purely on going fast with the relic, and level went by in a flash. And before I knew it, I had done it. I had 100%ed Crash Bandicoot warped for the first time. 101%? Yeah, so technically the max percentage in this game is 105%. done by collecting the elusive platinum relics, which are super strict times in every level that require a lot more skill than I currently possess to obtain. Yeah, I'm not doing that. At least not now. I don't feel like putting myself through that pain. Some of these golds did take my best out of me to get, and while I can definitely see where I can improve my times to eventually get a platinum relic, and I did earn one on accident in another level, how I did this is beyond me. At the end of the day, going for these would have pushed this video even further back than it already had been. Sorry about that, by the way. Every day life tests my resolve by the minute, I swear to God. But earning 100% unlocks an alternate ending in the final boss where instead of the duo warping out looking to the gems as a backup plan, since we already have them, the Time Twister ends up warping them to a random place in time as babies where Cortex and Entropy fight over Uka Uka. And Cortex's voice left me in stitches for some reason.
Give me the mask! With it I shall take over the world! Come on!
To conclude, Crash Bandicoot 3 was a joy to revisit. The levels are fun, voice acting is as strong as ever, bosses and abilities were pretty rad, and visually this game holds up pretty well, even nowadays. The trilogy as a whole I'd say holds up pretty well. There are issues aplenty, nothing's perfect after all, but I feel like if you were to go back and experience these classic titles, you'll have a fun time. Though I'd definitely say the Insane Trilogy is more accessible, and it's pretty much what you would want out of a remake of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. But yeah, that's all for today. If you made it to the end of the video, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to be more consistent here, and I do enjoy making videos, so do look forward to them. But now, the groundwork has been laid for my next video. I will see you in the next one. Peace.